what direct engagement you've had with the tillage stakeholders, and if you'd acknowledge that the emergency support package for tillage farmers needs to be increased and more targeted towards tillage farmers unsuccessful in harvesting, and if you would acknowledge that the need for targeting supports for the sector to ensure viability into 2024.
Thanks, Deputy Murphy. I am and have been in regular contact with the farming organisations and farm groups on issues relating to the tillage sector, and as recently as yesterday I met with one of the stakeholders, the Irish Grain Growers Association, and indeed last week met with the IFA Tillage Committee as well to discuss the real challenging situation in the sector at the moment in light of the harvest. Earlier this year I specifically requested and secured support from the EU Agricultural Reserve for the sector in light of the significant challenges around the weather and harvest this year, and a support package of €7.1 million has been allocated to the sector under this fund, where a one-off flat rate payment of €28 per hectare will be made on the area of oilseed rape, winter and spring barley, as well as wheat and rye declared under People's Basic Income Support Scheme this year. Payments will be made in a minimum of 5 hectares and capped at 100 hectares per grower under that. In budget then, 2 weeks ago, I secured an additional €8 million funding, which will be specifically targeted at the sector. I'm currently engaging with farm organisations on the best way to utilise this funding. Obviously, some farmers haven't got their grain harvested yet, and the farm organisations have made that point to me. And I'm very open and will work with them to see how best we can utilise it in relation to how we structure that funding I got in the budget 2 weeks ago. Fertiliser is a major input cost in tillage farms as well, and to support organic nutrient utilisation where it's needed, I will be engaging with the European Commission to allow the introduction of a 70% TAMS 3 support measure for manure storage facilities on farms importing livestock manure under a contract relationship, and also seeking to secure a separate investment ceiling of €90,000 for slurry storage investments. I strongly support the sector and have done so in recent years, Deputy Murphy. I doubled the annual budget for the Protein Aid Scheme from €3 million to €7 million. And also we've had the Tillage Incentive Scheme with about €11 million paid to scheme applicants over the last 2 years. Really importantly then, the strong corporation measure I've introduced for the first time, and that has paid €19.5 million so far, and I've actually allocated an extra €7 million to that this year, in recognition of the pressure that's on tillage farmers.
Minister, you know, it's hard for me to stand here and to continuously say that the farmers are unhappy, but the farmers are unhappy. And all I hear every time I listen to you is what you have done, and it's the largest amount. Farming has never been in such a poor situation. I attended with the IFA also at a meeting. It was such a depressing meeting. It was the night before the budget. And what was worse was, of the 70-odd farmers between dairy and tillage that were there, they didn't even want to speak. But your own colleagues, Minister James Brown stood up and said that you made an announcement off the cuff. You got 7 million, you wanted it out there straight away, and you offered them €28 a hectare for an input cost of €600. Like, what part of that would you say needs a clap on the back? Minister, I am not trying to be funny here, but this is our most important sector, and when they're gone, they're gone. And you need to tell the public what it means when they're gone. You need to tell the public that when we're eating beef that hasn't been sustainably farmed in Ireland, not only will it double in cost, but it'll be horrible. There'll be no taste of it. And the shopping basket and the cost of living will increase further. That's what you need to tell the people, because the farmers know.
Thanks, Deputy Murphy, and I appreciate you raising it here today. And your colleagues, Minister of State James Brown, Senator Malcolm Byrne and Deputy Paul Keogh have been in touch with me on numerous occasions and indeed updated me in detail on that meeting and the outcome of it. And there's nobody looking for slaps in the back here, Deputy Murphy. We're looking to see how we can support the sector through what is a really
€11 an acre warrants a slap somewhere else.
A really unprecedentedly difficult time. I want to see the tillage sector grow in this country over the years ahead. We've seen it for the first time in the last 2 years actually grow by 6%, the area under tillage. The really challenging situation this year is going to put real pressure on that, and that's something I want to support the sector with over the next period of time. As I said to you, a few weeks ago we added an extra €7 million. There's €7 million there on top of that, which I've got from the European Commission, which will be paid in January. That's €14 million. And also then there's the other €7 million which secured in the budget 2 weeks ago, which brings it to €21 million, the support that will be there for the sector, and I'm working closely with the representative groups to see how we can best target that, because while it's been a difficult year for everyone, it has been a really existentially challenging year for some tillage farmers, and I want to work with their representatives to make sure that in terms of the funding we have made available at government level, that we target it in a way that provides the support to those who most need it.
That it does need to be targeted, and that's something that the sector themselves believe. But I'm not letting you off with it, Minister. You plied your trade going around to the marts all over the country. I was at one of them. If I had been a farmer, I wouldn't have attended another one. You haven't been challenged in the media because your message is now so efficient from how you learned to get it off by heart. We are an agricultural economy. And I can tell you something, the farmers no longer feel supported by government. And it's plain to be seen. And I'm asked every time I go to a meeting, what has the Minister and this government sold us out in Europe for? Will it be 10 years down the line when we learn? There's nobody in their right mind would do what you're doing to farming. The Minister beside you there, you quoted figures about the department and meeting all the forestry licences. You haven't met one of the targets, not one. And I have the file here to prove it. You just said you were way up above the targets and you'd met all the requirements. No, you haven't. It's spin, and it continues to be spin whilst you are absolutely denigrating the whole agricultural sector. You want tillage. Your policy is to improve tillage. You're selling out our dairy herd. They're leasing land at double the price that they should be, which is actually it's decimating the tillage sector. What part of that do you not understand as an intelligent man?
Over time.
Yeah, no, you're a pretty good expert at the spin, Deputy Murphy, yourself, and at the criticism. Not offering much solutions or anything constructive. As I say, I've been working with your three government colleagues in Wexford on an ongoing basis over the last number of weeks on this issue. It's good to talk to yourself here this morning in relation to it now.
One speaker only. I'm sorry.
As well. So
out of order.
So listen, I know you major on giving out and everything, and trying to show through giving out that maybe you might be doing something for someone. And government, and that's your modus operandi, Deputy Murphy, and you have it well off by heart yourself in relation to your approach in government. But there's also then Deputy Murphy, listen, you mightn't like giving other people a chance. I know you like to give out plenty and to hold the platform. In relation to tillage, listen, Deputy Murphy, listen.
I'm sorry.
Sure, listen.
Out of order.
If you want to speak to yourself, you can go off and shout on local radio. But I'm working to try and support the sector through a difficult year, and to make sure it grows in the future, and we'll continue to do that.
We move on. Next.